Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a bookshelf organization video. This video has been a long time coming because I've had these shelves up on my wall for a while now and it has been utter chaos. Honestly, every time I go and look for a book, I don't know where they are and it's really irritating me and I can't find anything and it's starting to wear me down. So today we are fixing that. I don't have a full plan of how exactly I want these to look, but I do have a few things just for practicality that I want to make sure I'm making with these shelves. The number one thing is I always like to have all of my books that I have not read all in one spot. So I want a TBR shelf that is just books I've not read. It just makes it so much easier when I'm going and looking for a new book if I've got all of the ones that I haven't read yet in the same place. And then other than that, the way that I normally organize my books, the way that I have these books organized up on the other side is by genre. And I do quite like that. I like being able to go to a specific shelf for like specific genres, but also it is currently kind of in chaos because, like, for example, like my sci-fi section has grown and like outstayed where it can fit. My romance section is too big. My fantasy section is way too long. But I do have quite a lot of space kind of on this side now. I've got this big long shelf up here. The decisions we have to make are: which books do I want in the kind of the most hard to reach places? These shelves that are obviously the easiest to access, and I have another like low down shelf over there that I can just grab stuff off really quickly. Because I know my number one plan is to have all my TBR in one space, maybe we'll start there and I will just start with having this shelf behind me as my TBR, or maybe a shelf down there as my TBR, because I think they're the same length. Are they the same size? I think so. This is gonna be a trial and error video, but the first thing I'm gonna do is make a big pile on this book bench down here. You can't actually see it on the video screen, I think. I have a little book nook down here where I can sit, and starting off with collecting all of my TBR together because we just need to see how big that pile is. I've been waiting to do this video for so long, and for some reason I've decided to do it on like the hottest day that we've had so far, which is excellent news for me having to lift books on and off shelves all day. It's going to be really fun. Okay, first shelf is empty. You are going to see so much of the mess of behind these. I couldn't be bothered to buy more paint, more wall paint. I'd have to buy a whole thing of wall paint just to cover up these little white marks, and I couldn't be bothered when the books are going to be there covering them anyway, so I'm exposing my dirty little secret. Okay, so far we have this pile as TBR, this pile non-TBR. Two shelves done. This is the TBR pile, non-TBR. We're getting there. Okay, so we have a pile here of TBR and a pile of other. There is a real mix between so many different types of books. I've already kind of had a realization about my TBR that I want to have it all as TBR, but I do want to have like my arcs and stuff I've been sent to read in one section, and also non-fiction separated out from fiction on my TBR shelf. Now maybe it's time to show you the other shelves over here and what they currently look like. The top shelf currently is classics, then we have general fiction, another general fiction one, and fantasy down here, and then we have continued fantasy up here, sci-fi and romance, and then that's also romance down there. So it's just looks way too packed. There's so much on there. Like, I really want to kind of use this space better. I'm thinking, because fantasy is so chunky and long, and a lot of these books I do think I will keep for a long time, I'm going to transport fantasy over and put it maybe on this middle shelf here. But I'm just going to measure the shelves and see which ones are actually longer. So I feel like that's going to help me make a decision about what books to put where, because as soon as I realise like what I have the most of, I can just put it where it can all fit. Okay, so they're the same length, I've just measured them, so that's fine. So I basically already know that like my fantasy section won't fit on one long shelf. So I do need to have that on 2 shelves. My current thought is this long shelf up at the top here, I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see that, I'm definitely going to have non-fiction up there, and maybe non-fiction and classics. Don't think that'll fit. Do you think that'll fit? I don't know, this is hard. But I think I just have to start doing stuff and putting things on, because that's the only way I'm going to know what fits and what doesn't fit. I also, like, I do have to consider what do I want to be visible when I'm filming, you know? Like maybe I want to put my favourite books behind me so that like, you know, new people that come to the channel will see my videos, and if they can scan my bookshelf and be like, oh, she likes these types of books. Do you know what I mean? Like that's quite nice to have like a favourite bookshelf. But that is kind of a nice idea. I do kind of like that. I don't know! Okay, I've been sitting here thinking, and I do actually like that idea of having this definitely where my favourites should be. Because also I pull them down from my shelf a lot, you know? They're the things I'm lending out, they're the things I'm talking about the most. So that's good if they're easily reachable. So I think we have this one quite like pretty looking with my favourites on there and some like cute little decorative things. The shelf above it could be TBR. And then the shelf above that, we could do that as fantasy and have that kind of go along and around. That could be an idea. I'm going to start off that basis and just do this one, this middle one as my TBR. And then we might have to like readjust, but hopefully not. I'm a little worried that this is not going to fit well, because I still have a pile of books and we're running out of space, but let's see. I fear I have not thought this through well. This is how many won't fit up there. Do I have to get rid of the idea of having my TBR all on one shelf? I think I do, because none of the shelves are going to be long enough unless I do the very top shelf and that kind of goes around the corner, but that's just going to be so annoying to have to get up on the bench every time I want to get something down. I think what I'll have to do is just have it come down to this shelf as well. It's the only way that really makes any sense. And I think that because this shelf will be my favourite shelf anyway, it'll be emptier. So it's not nice and neat, but I think that's the most practical thing. We have a TBR shelf and we have a tiny overhang. That's okay. I also think that probably in normal times, I think my TBR is usually a bit smaller than this. I feel like this is quite a hefty physical TBR for me because I've been in a bit of a reading slump lately, so I just haven't been, especially with physical books as well, I just have not been picking up stuff that I already own. And like this section, for example, like kind of from here down, is stuff that I've been gifted or sent or people have given to me, and that is like kind of stressing me out. So this is like a big pile of stuff that I feel like I'm very behind on. And then next we have kind of the sci-fi fantasy section, and then it's kind of vaguely sorted out in terms of general fiction. And then right at the end on the other side we have non-fiction. Next up, I think, while I've got the camera positioned in this direction, I will do a favourites shelf down here. And I have quite a few of my favourite books already in this like very chaotic pile that has completely collapsed as well since I've been doing this. So let's pull out some of my favourite books. Maybe I'll show you them while I'm doing it as well. Oh no, that's another TBR one. Ugh, two more for the TBR. I didn't do this organising very well, did I? I have two books that are the same. One in paperback and one in hardback, so I might put this in an unhaul pile. But yeah, we only want to keep the pretty one. Although this is one of my favourite books actually. I might keep this on my favourite shelf. I really want to reread it. It's a non-fiction about quantum gravity and it's literally mind-bending and crazy. It's really cool. Some proof copies of my passport that I made, which is for sale by the way if you want to buy a reading passport. These are the proof copies that weren't perfectly aligned that I made, but yeah, kind of cute. I like to keep these. This is an early one that's like a bit misprinted. I think I'm actually going to make these in new colours very soon. I've been thinking of doing like a cute pastel pink one, so let me know if you're interested in that, and if you are, then what colours you'd be interested in as well. I had 3 copies of the same book. I just, look, what? And I had the hardcover as well. What's going on? This one just won the Women's Prize, which I was so relieved about. I can't even tell you. I really didn't like a lot of the rest of the shortlist, but this one was my winner, and it did win. We have Mrs. Dalloway, the annotated Mrs. Dalloway. We have This One Sky Day. We have Lonely Castle in the Mirror. We have the Patrick Rothfuss ones. We have Becky Chambers, Piranesi, a couple of non-fiction, Braiding Sweetgrass and Gathering Moss by Robin Wall Kimmer. Safekeep, East of Eden. Okay, that was a bit annoying and stressful, but we have some favourite books up on the shelf. So this is still TBR up here, and then this is also TBR. Then we have some fantasy favourites. Leads into kind of like some other strange favourites, like non-quite fantasy, not quite not fantasy. Some more classics, and then some general fiction and some non-fiction favourites. And I've put the clock there to just break it up a little bit. I mean, it's very likely at this point that like the styling of these are definitely going to change, but you know, at least they fit on there for now. Okay, so I've been standing here staring at the shelves and I've made some decisions. What I think I will do is take the plunge and move all my fantasy books and put them up on this L-shaped shelf up here, because there's no chance they'll fit anywhere else. I think that that will just look the best and like look the most cohesive, because the other option is basically putting non-fiction and classics up here together. And I'm not even sure that that would fill it. I don't think fantasy alone would just fill it either, because I just don't think it looks that good just kind of there. So let's start moving all of these over. Already so full. This is like not even just the fantasy stuff. I haven't even put all the fantasy, let alone the sci-fi. I do think this was the correct decision though. I quite like the way it looks. Okay, so this is like so hard to film to get me in the same shot as the shelves. We've done quite well. I actually have less sci-fi than I thought I did, and I can kind of slot sci-fi in with other stuff. So actually the majority of all of this up here is going to be fantasy. I found another duplicate book. I have this in a paperback copy, and I don't love it enough to have 2 copies of it, so that can also go in the duplicates pile. And I have a cookbook also that can go downstairs, because there's no reason for that to be up here. Let me show you the current status of the shelves. TBR still, but favourites down here. TBR up here, and then we have fantasy down here, and then a little bit of sci-fi down here. I want to do some moving around because I have a couple of extra books down here that I need to fit up, and I want to keep all the authors together. So I want to put that Brandon Sanderson with the other Brandon Sanderson ones. And also I want to put these ones in my favourites shelf somewhere. But I actually also have these Brandon Sanderson books that have been sitting, oh my god, it's so heavy, sitting on my desk for ages, and I would rather have them displayed on my shelf, ideally, and also just to give us some more space on the desk because it's a bit busy there and they just kind of get lost, and I would rather have them displayed how they are supposed to be because they are so beautiful. God, they are heavy though. So I'm going to try and find some space for these as well. But we have cleared this entire shelf and these two shelves up here. So this is going to look a lot less cluttered in a minute. These are non-fiction here. These are general fiction, I think. And I think I'll put non-fiction back here maybe. It's turned into a lot less of like what looks good, and it's just purely what's going to fit and make sense to be used, because I don't care that much about how they look. I think that books look pretty anyway, like just books on a shelf is kind of decor in its own right, so I'm not too worried about like making them color coded or anything like that. That just seems too stressful. I want them to be super usable and just have things in a place that makes sense for my brain. Okay, that's as much as we can fit up there. We have a tiny little bit of space up in that corner over there at the end, and I can kind of shuffle stuff around. That's, I think, as good as we can get for the fantasy sci-fi section. But I'm pretty pleased. I didn't think it'd be as close as it was to like fit everything in. So I'm a little bit relieved that actually it has actually fit. Next up, I'm going to put some more of the general fiction back up over on this empty shelf now. I'm literally so dusty and sweaty, but we are pivoting over here now. We have two empty shelves here. We have romance down here. Oh my god, don't fall over. I think I'm going to do my non-fiction for these top two shelves. Potentially move the romance over to these shelves, but maybe not. I need to just kind of see how many books we've got. We need to see what's going to fit, because that's really realistically what's going to happen. My phone's going to die now. I just realised, unfortunately, this one's for the TBR. Where am I going to fit it? This one's for the TBR, but we do have a little bit of space for the non-fiction, which is great. We love space. I'm now just going to dump the other general fiction on this shelf, and then we're going to see where the gaps are and what we can do with it. Okay, there's actually not that much. So what I'm going to do also is I'm going to put my series of unfortunate events up on the shelf because they've just been sitting on my desk as well for ages. I'm going to like clear out that little cubby hole. Look, I'll show you because it's just kind of chaotic how it's sitting. Like this is where they sit, just in this mess. So let's put them on a shelf. I don't have many other children's books, so I'm going to blend that into a mini horror section. And these are my like horror spooky ones up here, so I'm going to move them down over here. Do I want to do that, or do I want to do like different author collections? This is tough, and it's hot and I'm tired. Do you know what I've decided? I'm going to do books for the book club, for the Reading Around the World book club, which feel free to join. It's the book club that I host, which is really fun. We read a different book from a different country every single month, and I have a big stack of a lot of the books that we have read. So I think, because I'm adding to that stack like very frequently, maybe I'll have that down here. Why isn't this on the fantasy shelf? Okay, to be honest, I've been fannying about with these shelves for a hot minute now, and I don't know how to make them look good. And I'm tired. And I'm sneezing. I think for now, I'm going to kind of fiddle about with them, but leave them kind of like this, vaguely. We've got like we've kind of just do have different sections. This is the book club section. We have a little Kazoo Ishiguro section. And then down here in this corner, I have kind of a prize winning, like current prize section. Women's Prize, International Booker Prize, that kind of thing. Then we have like some other vague sections around, but I kind of want to redo all of them and do them in like countries order, if that's possible. But I do not have the energy, so that's going to be in a part 2. I'm going to do like different continents on different sections of the shelf, because I also think that will be really helpful for me to figure out where books are and stuff. I'm just going to tidy up this section, fill this gap, and then we'll see. I can't get me in the same like shot as these, but what do we think? I think they look kind of nice, and the main bulk of the work is done. We've got stuff in genre kind of categories. I just want to then like redefine, like refine those categories even further. That's going to be in a part 2. I'm going to do reading around the world and kind of do them in different continents. I'm also going to do like go through my non-fiction and refine that into like poetry section and like politics section, art, you know, nature, all of that kind of different stuff. And then, yeah, basically just kind of redefine and narrow down these sections, and then maybe do like a full-on book tour when I've got them looking all nice. But it does feel chaotic right now, but I do think that this is going to work better as a system for me. Here's the last look at this side as well. This definitely feels a lot better than how it was. I need to figure out where to fit this on the TBR shelf. That was always going to be a difficulty. Like, the TBR is just always going to be a nightmare. But I am thinking that this does look and feel a lot better. And it's nice to see these shelves full as well, and just like kind of more organised and beautiful. Especially, I just really like the fantasy ones being at the top, because they just often look a lot darker and heavier. So I like them being up by the ceiling. I don't know why. Final shot of these. Kind of nice, kind of full. I would love to know what you guys think of this bookshelf reorganizing video. If you would have done it a different way, if you would have done it more aesthetically. I have no doubt that most of you would have done this more aesthetically, but this is the way that it has to function for my brain. So, but give me your like tips in the comments and tell me how you organize your bookshelves, because I know that everyone loves to do it differently. So I'd be interested to know what's your process. Thank you so much to my Patreons. I love you guys so much. Thank you for supporting me, being wonderful, and making this small community just such a wonderful place to be on the internet. I absolutely love you all. Other than that, I think I'm going to go and lie down in a dark room because I am boiling hot and I'm covered in dust. But I feel very relieved that this has been done. This was the kick that I needed to get my organising like back on track, and I'm hoping this is going to reinvigorate me as well. So now I can see my TBR much more clearly. I could even count it if I so chose to see how many books are on the physical TBR. I don't know if I want to go through that right now, but I think it'll be more than the last time I counted. If you haven't already subscribed, then please remember to do that. We are getting really close to the next kind of big milestone on this channel, so I really hope to hit 7,000 subscribers really soon. And please give this video a like as well, because that really just helps me out with the algorithm. But that is all from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!